When speaking on a spark of divinity, a few questions need to be answered before you get there. Like, who gave you that spark? And what's that spark meant to do for you in your lifetime and for others? I believe that everybody is born with a spark of divinity, and what you do and the decisions you make through the course of your life, it determines whether that spark is, grown into something else, or if it's, doled out and stumped out. I believe that thing that you love to do, that thing that is on your mind all the time, that's that spark of divinity. And what you may conceive as, okay, this is the thing I'm supposed to be doing, that might just be the first step to a larger puzzle. That spark of divinity is the corridor, the gateway to that bigger thing. And I think when you have Yah at the center of the thing that you want to do, that spark is now ignited into something far greater, far bigger than just you. And so they have this book that I particularly don't like, but it's called like The Mountain Is You. And I believe that that spark that you have, that spark that you have, when you put Yah at the center of it, you become this far greater thing that you could have even imagined for yourself. It's like, I never thought I'd get here. It's like, yeah, because there's things in this universe far greater than yourself, and to even have a little piece of that is miraculous. But it all comes from this spark of divinity. It's doing the thing that you love to do, and it's doing a thing that it helps so many people that you couldn't help that many people if you had tried to do it a different way. You know, when you see people that are like insanely good at something, you just like, how? When they're playing music, when they're playing a certain sport, or dancing, you see it and you just it take back in awe by how great they are at it and how seamlessly it seems to be done by them. And you have to just be like, wow, that is impeccable, that is divine. And that's the spark. That's that spark showing. That's that spark flaring out into something completely different, completely new, something beyond comprehension. You know, and I believe my personal spark of divinity has come in dealing with tech and everything like that. This experience has been quite interesting, and seeing and using this as a corridor to meet other people, to travel, and to experience so many different things that are all like things I'm putting in my bag. And so when that time comes, all of these different pieces are going to make so much sense. I don't know it yet. I think I have an idea of what it is, but I don't know yet. And it's beautiful. It's really beautiful, because not knowing where the end destination is makes the journey all that much more adventurous. Let's say, and there's ups and there's downs, and there's the plot twist where you look in the mirror like it's a camera and you go, you got me. I didn't see that coming. You got me. But I believe that tapping into that spark of divinity, it makes life worth living. It makes all the suffering worth it. And I think that's the thing that always got me, which was all this suffering. There must be something at some point in this journey where it's like, okay, this all makes sense now, you know. And when you give up that spark, when you trade in that spark for something else, it's like Esau gave up his birthright, and he realized his birthright was a lot more important than he thought, and it was connected to so many other things, and he spent his whole life trying to get it back. The thing about a spark of divinity is, you give it up, there's no guarantee that you can get it back. It's giving up on your dreams and realizing when you're 80 that you wanted to do this your whole life and you just never did it. And that's the regret you live with every day. Don't give up your spark of divinity. There's nothing more important, because that is something given to you by Yah. That is something given to you by a being far greater than yourself. And the effects and what you're supposed to do with that spark has a much greater effect on just you, your community, your family, your whole culture. History in itself can be rested on your spark of divinity. You have a necessary potential to give to the world. Everybody does. It's embedded in you. It's why you're alive today, because you have something to do, something to give. And I'm learning, and the beauty of it is you get to learn what that is. It's not like somebody handed it to you and there's no discovery. You get to discover what that is in the purest way possible through literally experience it every single day. And I know life is hard. Life is hard for everybody. It really is. But what makes the suffering worth it is making that dream a reality, growing that spark, and almost like a phoenix effect, you know? And sometimes I remind myself of that this is supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, when you get that unattainable thing, when you attain the unattainable, it's so precious. You want to hold it so tight. You don't let it go because you know how much it took to get there. But then you realize letting it go allows it to come back tenfold. When you let it go, not only let it go, you share with others. You see, oh wow, this is a lot bigger than just me. You know, I was talking to somebody the other day, and we was talking about like the underwear line. And people was like, oh yeah, you know, actually I like your underwear line. And I'm like, it's not mine. It's as much mine as it is Natakia's. You know, as much mine as it is my imams, as much as my sisters, because they the ones who inspired me to even do it. I don't know jack about underwear, but I do remember my mom going, man, it's so hard to find like cotton underwear here with cotton lining and this and that. I'm like, you know what? And like this burning feeling inside of me was like, you know what? All right, I'll just do it. Since obviously I need to do this because this is my calling. I don't know for what. I don't know. All I have is this one piece. You know, I had this one piece that y'all gave me, and I'm doing my best to do my best, utilizing this spark of divinity that I was given to make this thing the best thing it can possibly be. And then I believe that once I do that, that next piece is going to be like, oh, these things go together. And it's like a snowball effect where you have an idea and then you play out the idea, and then an advanced version of that idea pops up, and then it's like, and then I keep saying and then, but at the end of the day, you have this purified version of your initial idea, and you're like, wow. And you realize it's going to take you 20, 30 years to get there. And then that's that unattainable goal. And then you spend the next 20, 30 years. And maybe it might be shorter because you meet somebody, you know, who makes it a lot simpler. And like, oh, what do you think about this? Oh, what do you think about that? And then suddenly you have all the pieces to the puzzle that you need. And then you put it together. And then you go to the next thing. And that's what makes life precious. I think this might be a bit controversial, but I think the fact that eventually I'm going to die makes my life precious. And I think it makes the things that I do precious. And I think it makes me precious because I don't know if there's ever going to be another Yatalio. And the way I am going to raise the probability of that is, you know, name my son Yatalio, to keep the spirit of who I am always alive in someone else. But that comes with the responsibility of being a good person, being somebody someone else wants to embody. And I believe that I'm already doing it, but living a life that's worth living will make my transformation to a different mode of being, be it physical, spiritual, whatever you believe in. I think it makes it precious, and it puts that spark of divinity and that responsibility that comes with it on me, because I have to do something. I have to create something that makes my life worth being lived for. And when people tell me like, oh, just being you is enough, I think, that sounds nice, but I think when you take on the responsibility of, I'm going to make something better, whether you're a good person or not, it certainly raises the probability of somebody going, man, I want to be just like you when I grow up. And I remember people, like, I remember saying that to people. I remember the first time somebody said that to me, like, I want to be like you when I grow up. And I was like, that's crazy. It was a good compliment because it was a reinforcement to me that I'm truly working through my spark of divinity. I'm really living out my dreams. I'm living like Yah intended. And some might say, oh, you know, a pure soul and all of this other stuff. I don't think Yah expects anybody to have a pure soul. I think the reason he put challenges is because at some point you have to fail. And to fail means you might do some stuff that you might not be so proud of. But I do believe that rounding it off, I believe I'm a good person. And I believe living through my spark of divinity has allowed me to be a good person. I believe when I let go of that spark of divinity, all these other components start to deteriorate. And you see that with people, you know, people who just, they don't do nothing with their day, nothing with their month, week, year. And you can truly see that spark of divinity just going in them. They're just existing, blowing in the wind. Those also, coincidentally, are the same people who talk about just happiness and nihilism. You know, just do whatever makes you happy. Do whatever. It's just happiness and pleasure. It's all that life is about. I believe life is a lot more than happiness and pleasure. I believe that those challenges, they reinforce that spark of divinity in you. And when you so focus on happiness and pleasure, that's not where that spark of divinity is being used, amplified, utilized. That's how you kill that spark of divinity. That's how you put it out. When you solely focus on pleasure and whatever makes you happy. Life is about suffering, but it's the necessary suffering that's needed to take you to the next level. And so you get to choose your suffering. There's no suffer option. I was telling somebody this, that I don't want to suffer. There's no suffer option. If you don't want to suffer, great. Now be very comfortable achieving nothing. Because that's all that comes with that. All I want to do is be happy. Great. So you're not going to be great. You're going to be forgotten like most people who just focus on happiness. But you also give up that spark of divinity. You can't have both. You can't have both. You can't have all I want to be is happy. I don't want to suffer and expect to do great things. Expect to create great things. Having children is hard. It's hard. It's suffering, really. For the first 10 years, it's not the funnest time. But that spark of divinity that you suffer through, you get to put that in somebody else. And you get to see them look at the world like everything is brand new. Because it is brand new. And that's the trade-off. That's creating something beyond just yourself. And I think that's being lost in today's society. Everything is so me, I. What makes me happy, what makes me feel good, my pleasure, my happiness, my path of least resistance, which conveniently goes into the exact path that does not lead to responsibility, accountability, or saying, I'm going to suffer because this thing I'm suffering for is worth it. What's worth suffering to you? Is anything worth suffering to you? Something worth a lot is worth suffering for me. You know, I've suffered a lot, and I'm still suffering. Quite naturally, I look forward to suffering because I at least know I'm on the right path of somewhere doing something. To the person, I want to lay in bed all day and be happy. Sure. Now be content with being a nobody. I don't want to be a nobody. And I think the thing about being in the kingdom of Yah is you don't get to be a nobody. You don't get to just do anything, say anything, be anything. No. You in the kingdom of Yah, there's parameters. Now, if you want to leave, hey, whatever floats your boat. But know the consequences that come along with that. Because when you leave, it's not that knowledge of the kingdom just dissipates out of your life. No. It's better if you didn't know, but you know. And you know a lot more. And not only neglecting it, but trying to live a life as if you don't know is worse than not knowing. But that spark of divinity comes with a lot more responsibility, I believe, in the kingdom of Yah. And you see people who go out and they try to, it's almost like they're trying to hide, you know, it's the Adam thing, trying to hide from God. Wearing everybody else's clothes, doing what everybody else is doing, eating what everybody else is eating, just doing anything really. And then you see that, why are you suffering a lot more than everybody else? And don't think of suffering like this very visible suffering. There's mental abuse and there's physical abuse. The emotional abuse, people say it's a lot worse. But you go to sleep at night trying to figure out what's going on, but you know, deep down, you know, you've given up your spark of divinity. You traded it in for something you thought was better. And that's hard to see on people that you love. It's hard to see because you know and they know that this is just the consequences of the choices that they made. And they didn't have to make. They bought into a lie and now they're suffering the consequences, believing this path of least resistance is going to help them escape the consequences that come with actions. What's your spark of divinity? What's your thing? You know, what's that thing you're going to do to change the world? I believe you can. I believe in you. Yah believes in you. The only variable that's left is, do you believe in you? Take that first step. Jump. Go all in. Go into the deep end. You'd be surprised. You might know how to swim. But you'll never know. Standing from the side. I've had to jump in the deep end a few times. And the lessons I've taken from jumping into the deep end, you'd be surprised how many people are willing to teach you how to swim once they see you in the water. Yeah. Have a blessed day. Y'all okay.